Let me tell you something powerful. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind fear, hesitation, and even silence. And when it comes to people with avoidant attachment styles, the signs of love don't always look like what you expect. But make no mistake, when an avoidant starts acting a certain way, it doesn't just mean they're interested. It means they love you. See, we're so conditioned to believe that love is loud, expressive, always present, always obvious. But that's not the reality for everyone. Some people were wired differently by their past, by their upbringing, by pain they haven't fully healed from. They learned that closeness might lead to hurt. That vulnerability might lead to rejection, and so they retreat. They create distance, they build walls, but here's the truth. When someone who's used to running starts to slow down, when someone who always keeps people at arm's length starts letting you closer, that's love in motion. That's transformation happening in real time. So how do you know an avoidant loves you? They start making space for you. It may be subtle, but you'll notice it. They remember the small things. They check in even if it's awkward. They may not flood you with affection, but they show up in ways they never did before. Why? Because you matter more than their comfort zone. They'll wrestle with their own instincts, those old automatic reflexes to shut down or pull away, and choose connection instead. They might not say, "I love you," right away, but they'll do something far more powerful. They'll let you see them, the raw, real, unguarded version of them, and for someone avoidant, that's a risk, a huge risk, but they take it for you, and don't be fooled by the struggle, the back end. Fourth, the mixed signals. Those aren't signs that they don't care. They're signs of a battle between their fear and their love, and when love starts to win, even little changes are monumental. You want to know how deep their feelings go. Look at what they fight within themselves just to stay connected. That's courage, that's love disguised as resistance. And when they begin to show consistency, when they begin to lean in instead of pull back, that's the moment. That's when the avoidant is saying without words, "I trust you enough to stay." This kind of love isn't always easy, but it's real, it's rooted in growth. It's the kind that transforms two people. Because to love someone avoidant and to be loved by someone avoidant requires patience, empathy, and strength. So the next time you see someone hesitant but still choosing to be there, someone scared but still reaching out, someone quiet but deeply present, don't ignore it. That's love in the language they know. And it's worth everything, because when an avoidant loves you, they don't just give you their heart, they give you their transformation, and there's nothing more powerful than that. When it comes to love, we're often taught to look for the obvious signs, grand gestures, constant communication, and overflowing affection. But for someone with an avoidant attachment style, love doesn't come packaged that way. Their version of love is quieter, more reserved, and often misunderstood. Yet when they do love, it's incredibly real. Avoidant individuals may not always say, "I love you," with words or smother you with physical affection, but they express it in other, often more meaningful ways. Through action, through effort, through change. An avoidant person has typically built emotional walls to protect themselves from getting hurt. This comes from a past where closeness may have felt unsafe or where vulnerability was never rewarded. So, over time, they learn to rely on self-sufficiency and to keep others at a safe emotional distance. But when they start to fall in love, something begins to shift. You'll notice it in small, deliberate ways. They might not be the first to initiate a deep conversation, but suddenly they're listening more. They remember things you said offhandedly, your favorite food, your big meeting, the way you like your coffee. That's not coincidence, that's intentional presence, that's them making room for you in their internal world. Even when it's uncomfortable for them, they might begin to include you in their routines. Maybe they reach out first every now and then. Maybe they invite you into parts of their life they once kept off limits. These aren't just nice gestures. They're signs of emotional investment. For someone who's used to pulling away, leaning in takes courage. It takes effort. And they don't do it for just anyone. They do it when someone matters. They do it when they care deeply. The love of an avoidant doesn't come through big declarations. It shows up when they start choosing connection over solitude, when they don't disappear after a disagreement. When they slowly allow themselves to be seen, not just the polished parts, but the vulnerable, imperfect parts they usually keep hidden. That's love in action. That's someone telling you in their own language that you're important. You may not always feel the warmth you'd expect, but pay attention to the way they begin to show up. That subtle consistency, that quiet consideration, that shift in behavior, it all points to something powerful. It means they're stepping outside of what's comfortable because they see something in you worth the risk. They're making a conscious decision to let someone in, despite the fears that usually hold them back. So if you're with someone avoidant and you see these little changes, don't overlook them. They're not small at all. For them, they're massive. These are the early signs of love, the kind that doesn't shout but shows up day after day in real, tangible ways. One of the most misunderstood behaviors in relationships is the push end, pull dynamic often displayed by people with avoidant attachment styles. From the outside, it can look like they're unsure, distant, or even uninterested. But the truth is, much of that back and forth comes from an intense internal conflict, a battle between their deep desire to connect and their overwhelming fear of being hurt. And if you're on the receiving end of that struggle, it's easy to mistake it for emotional unavailability. But in reality, that tension is often a sign of how much they care. Avoidant individuals learned somewhere along the way that closeness could be dangerous. Maybe it came from growing up in an environment where emotions were dismissed, neglected, or even punished. Maybe they were let down in the past when they allowed someone in. As a result, they built strong defenses, walls that keep others at a safe distance. It's not that they don't want love, it's that love feels risky. Vulnerability feels like exposure, and exposure feels like danger. So what happens when they start to fall for someone? Their instincts tell them to retreat, to protect themselves, to run. But if they care, if their feelings are real, you'll begin to see them resist those old patterns. They might still pull away, but they'll come back faster. They may get quiet, but they'll reach out when they calm down. That internal tug-of-war between fear and love becomes visible. And when you start seeing more moments where love wins, you're witnessing something powerful. They are actively trying to rewrite their story. Every time they move closer instead of shutting down, it's a sign that their affection for you is stronger than their fear. That doesn't mean the process is smooth or immediate. It's often messy. There will be days where they seem fully open and others where they pull back. But within that inconsistency lies their effort. And effort is everything. For someone avoidant, love doesn't always come naturally. But when they're willing to sit with the discomfort, when they're working through the resistance instead of giving into it, that's how you know their heart is truly in it. Many people misread the struggle as a lack of care, but the struggle itself is the evidence of care. If they didn't feel anything, they wouldn't be fighting, they wouldn't be torn, they'd just leave. The fact that they're trying, despite the fear, despite the pull to protect themselves, is proof of how deeply they feel. Love for an avoidant doesn't always come out in clear, confident words. It shows up in their effort to stay, in their willingness to come back, in their choice to remain even when every part of them wants to run. So don't be fooled by the conflict. Look deeper. Behind that hesitation is a heart learning to trust again. Behind the silence is someone screaming, "I don't want to lose this." When love begins to win over fear, even imperfect behavior becomes a sign of something real and incredibly meaningful. Being loved by someone with an avoidant attachment style is not like the movies. It won't always come with poetic confessions, endless texts, or grand romantic displays. Instead, it often shows up quietly, steadily, and most importantly, through transformation. When an avoidant person truly loves you, they don't just show you affection. They begin to change. They shift patterns they've held onto for years, sometimes decades, and that transformation is the deepest, most genuine form of love they can offer. For someone who's avoidant, relationships have always come with a sense of danger. They've been conditioned to believe that closeness leads to disappointment, abandonment, or the loss of identity. So they adapt by keeping distance. They become fiercely independent, sometimes emotionally unavailable, and they protect themselves by staying on the outside of intimacy. But when real love enters their life, when you enter their life, they feel something they haven't felt in a long time or maybe ever. They feel the desire to connect even if it scares them. They feel the pull to let someone in. That's when the transformation begins. It's not dramatic at first. It might look like them being just a little more open, or spending more time with you without needing space right after. It might show up as them talking about their past, sharing what they usually hide, or asking questions about you that go deeper than surface-level conversation. It might be in the way they start to consider your needs, something that previously felt threatening to their independence. These shifts may seem small on the outside, but they represent a huge change internally. This isn't just about behavior, it's about identity, and they're reshaping parts of themselves for the sake of love. That kind of change doesn't happen for just anyone. Avoidant individuals don't give access to their inner world easily. So when they begin to open the door, even just a little, it means you matter more than their fear. They're willing to stretch beyond what's comfortable. They're willing to do what their past told them not to do. Trust. They let go of old beliefs like I'm better off alone, or people will always leave, and they start building new ones like maybe this person is safe, or maybe I don't have to do life alone. And here's what makes it so beautiful. They don't just love you, they grow because of you. You become the reason they challenge their own habits, confront their own walls, and step into a version of themselves that's capable of deeper intimacy. That's not just love, it's transformation born out of trust, and that kind of connection is rare. So if someone avoidant begins showing up in new ways, risking vulnerability, and choosing to grow through their relationship with you, don't underestimate what that means. They're not just giving you their time, they're giving you access to parts of them they never thought they'd share, and that is one of the most powerful expressions of love anyone can offer.